Sorry, we're closed.
All right, another episode. Welcome back. Sorry we're closed. Another day, another dollar, another week, and we're right into it. Last week we talked about is TikTok going to die because of the YouTube Shorts and so on, and we were just in the kitchen talking about what I would consider probably my first ever viral YouTube short. Do you think we're at 62,000 views, Sean? Is 62,000 viral?
Well, no, I don't think 62,000 is viral, but I think that the speed at which it's currently growing is viral-esque.
Yes, I would agree with that. I remember when I did a deal, I guess a year or two ago now with that liquor company. The benchmark we used for viral was 250,000 views.
Isn't it crazy? Like, think about that.
Yeah.
There are, like, I mean, I don't know how quickly it's going. Like, check right now. Can you check? Check how many it's got. So Patrick comes out into the kitchen a couple, 20 minutes ago, and he's like, yeah, it's at 18,000. He goes back, he checks, it's at 68,000 or something like that. Where are we at now?
We're just over 62,000. So I checked 4 seconds ago. But
okay, so like we're saying like,
yeah.
What's like wild to me right now, and I'm like, and this is what I think like when I get views like this on my TikToks or something. I'm like, there's that many people out there consuming this content. Like, I find it mind blowing how many people, like, that's so many people. Like, I hear Gary Vee talk about this a lot, where he's like, the world is abundant. There's abundance. There's enough for everybody. Like, anybody, there's just so much out there. And when you see stuff like that, it's you can't help but think, like, holy crap. Like, there are so many people out there consuming, I mean, just YouTube Shorts right now. That's insane to me. That's so many people.
The thing that people have said to me in the past that I thought is very intriguing in the sense that that it's not something people like actually consider about their following, and it's when you put things in perspective of stadiums you could sell out with the amount of people you have in your following, and right now, let's say on TikTok, I think I'm just shy, and I'll take a quick look here.
You're closing in on Mountaineer Field.
I am. I'm just shy, if I remember correct. Jeez, I don't want the Wall Street Journal right now. I'm at 54.7 thousand. So, if all of my fans decided to show up for me one day at Fenway Park, there'd be like 15,000 people that didn't make it in.
How many bots would show up? Like robots, like, I follow Pat Light.
Hopefully not many, but as we've seen in the past, a plethora of bots would be showing up. But I think that's something that when you talk about, it is abundant. As our sister, who listens to this religiously as well, is probably, as she's listening to this right now, she probably lit her abundance candle.
She's big. She's a big manifester. She is a big manifester, actually.
Which
I ironically have like a ridiculous amount of literal neuroscience that backs up manifestation, which is absurd.
Why don't you dive into that a little bit? Go into the basics, because I'm a basic person. I'm not going to know all the
all right, so if you're like manifesting, if you guys don't know, it's literally like I want a Lamborghini. I want a Lamborghini. I'm driving my Lamborghini. My hair is blowing in the wind as I drive my Lamborghini. It feels so good. I have a Lamborghini. I have a Lamborghini. And then you have a Lamborghini, right? Like, then you like get a Lamborghini. It's basically like, it's like advanced wishing. And you know that guy, this was actually pretty interesting. You know that guy who does the, that makes no sense. You know that guy? Great.
We ended the podcast with him last time.
Yeah, it was great skit. But
that's probably our copyright claim.
Oh, I bet it is. That's a good call.
I bet you that's our copyright claim.
I bet it is.
And to continue, though.
So in that skit, he says, like, we're made of molecules. I'm made of molecules. You're made of molecules. This stool is made of molecules. And, you know, as I stand here, the molecules from the stool, some of their molecules will come over and join me, and some of my molecules will go over and join him. They actually have like data and research that suggests, like, if you look at, like, you have like a pen on your desk there or something like that.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so if you look and focus on that pen, there is research that proves that there's like electrons or some molecules. I don't know exactly the molecules, but like some of your molecules will go light up like that, like the makeup of that pen. But when you turn away, those disappear. So basically what they're saying is that, like, your attention and your thoughts can command the external matter that exists in the world. And if you actually, like, the big thing with manifestation, if you really dive into it, is you have to actually generate the emotion inside of your body. Like, you have to actually feel it. So it would be like how would you, and we'll ask you, Patrick, how would you feel if you were driving? Oh, whatever. I know you've got a couple different options here. Would you rather drive a Bentley, be driven around in a Rolls Royce? If you had your way, how would you feel? Like, what's the emotion that you feel?
You know, it obviously happy comes to mind, but the real one that comes to mind is like almost like powerful.
Yeah.
Like I am like somebody of note.
Yeah. So basically, what they say is, like, you have to be able to generate that emotion ahead of the event, and when you generate the emotion ahead of the event, you command matter through these molecules and stuff, and you actually attract what you're feeling. So you start attracting the things that make you feel that way. All of these. Like, you hear it from, like, just successful people. They always say, like, you have to become the person ahead of the event. Like, you have to be the rich person before you get rich. You have to act that way, and then the riches follow. But the scientists will show you that when, like, magnetically, like, you can, like people who have, like, magnetism. I was talking to my friend Brett. Brett is an assistant coach for Inter Miami CF. I thought it was FC, but it's CF. And he talks about how David Beckham, when he, like, walks into practice, it, like, punches you in the gut because you feel that. And based on my understanding of everything, it's like this neuroscience, the way you think and how you feel is commanding matter towards you. And I know it sounds a little foo-foo, but there is some real good research and data behind, like, really compelling stuff. If you're interested, you got to read books by a guy named Joe Dispenza. Really interesting.
So it is interesting because when we talk about my hospitality restaurant group, and what I've tried to command from my staff, when I first started owning restaurants and bars, I was the fun, 28-year-old, I think, 27-year-old, however old I was. Fun 27, 28-year-old who now, made some money in baseball, invested it in some restaurants and bars, and likes to go get drunk and have fun, and I own this place, blah, 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 right? And recently, with some of my transgressions, I have tried to steer away from that mantra, that not the mantra or motto, but the way I'm perceived and the way I'm viewed in these places. When I do believe that I am a fairly intelligent person as far as the restaurant business and how I still change things constantly because we just talked about a change in valuations and how I'm valuating restaurants in the coming months and years. And so it's ever changing. But, when I go into these places and what I've tried to address is I still like going out. I still like going out and having fun and drinking and sometimes, having no eyes in you, maybe having one too many, two too many. Even, you've seen the worst of me, maybe have 43 too many. I like to go do that stuff. It's fun. I enjoy it. I really like, like going out with our friends B-Rye and, going out there.
B-Rye being B-Rye.
B-Rye being B-Rye is wild card. But going out and going out to the city and, getting drunk and stupid and then going home and not worrying about it. I used to do that at my bar a lot, my own bars. And what I realized is that I'd have this anxiety the next morning, and I'd have these these thoughts of like, oh fuck, that's my staff. They're seeing me act like an idiot. How do they respect me? Like blah 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 blah, right? And I realized that I absolutely loved as I transitioned away from that thought process, because I had a in McSwilbo's, as some of the people here listening wouldn't understand it as, but McSwiggins, the third bar that I purchased, I had a little bit of an older partner. He's in his mid-40s, a really good guy, old school guy, and I don't agree with everything the way he does things, but one thing I really liked and agreed with, and I've tried to put this into my own life, was doing those things, those fun things you like to do. Like, don't take them out of your life just because let's be serious now. It's let's go do them somewhere else. Enjoy your life, do what you need to do, but don't do it at your place of work. And when I started doing that and started doing it more, obviously the way I've dressed has changed, because I'm trying to elevate who I'm speaking to and getting bigger investors and all of that good stuff. The perception of me at these places has changed, and I can feel it. It's almost palpable, as you kind of just spoke to, when I do walk into some of these bars that I own now, and it's not just how I'm dressed or anything like that, but when I do, it's, oh, Pat's here, why is Pat here? And when I go up to the bar, it's because now, instead of being drunk Pat, it's when I go up to the bar, the bartender's eyes are on me almost all the time. So when I'm there, when I start walking to the bar, there's a drink almost immediately for me, and it wasn't always like that. And I've really enjoyed that. That's goes back to the powerful and things like that. But like, I really enjoyed that perception of me, and it's similar to like what I'm trying to go for. I love that David Beckham thing. Is like when he walks in, it's like a punch in the gut. Everyone feels it.
Yeah.
That he's here right now. And I don't want people to be afraid of me by any means. I don't really care about that. But like, it's more so of uber respect for this type of person and what he's done in his life. I love that. I love that thought process. And I'm sure it was similar when people, we want to relate it to sports even more. I'm sure it was similar for like young guys when Derek Jeter would walk in the clubhouse, being like, oh shit, make sure. Like, I remember feeling that way with Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah. I mean,
Dustin
everybody
Pedroia,
knows somebody who has that like that magnetism, that gravity. I remember working for the Lakers, and we went to play Cleveland. Obviously, I was psyched. Big LeBron fan at the time. Not a big fan anymore, but Cleveland's visiting locker room was really small. And I was like, I remember telling Tim, our other strength coach, I was like, hey, Tim, like, I just want to see the king, man. Like, I just was like chilling, like in the I was in like the doorway of the locker room, and we were like setting up our food for the guys before they came in. And the Cavs players, they all parked inside of the arena. There was like a parking lot inside the arena, and they would all walk past our locker room and go down to theirs. And I'm sitting there. I'm just like, I know he's coming. I'm here 5 hours before the game. Like, I know he ain't here yet. And we're just sitting there, and you see like Kevin Love walk by. It's like, oh shit, it's Kevin Love. Kyrie, like, oh, Kyrie, right? And then like, I don't know, like 30 minutes goes by, and the buzz, you just feel it. Like, you just hear things. You're like, there's like a little commotion going on down there, and you're just like, oh my god, this has to be him. Like, you just feel him coming down the hall, and then he turned the corner, and I was like, holy shit, it's freaking LeBron James. And yeah, that's like that has been such an interesting like magnetism, having your own like gravitational pull. I've been so fascinated by that, and I've been really intrigued. There's a really good book, if anybody's like really interested in this stuff, it's a great book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It's an all-time classic, like a book that does go down in history. And he talks about like how you are what you think about all day long. It's another book as a speech you can get on YouTube. It's called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. It's like an hour long, and he talks about like you are what you think about all day long. It really is wild when you start looking at it.
It is, and the one thing I would add to that for people at home that think about this type of stuff. When I was my entire childhood, me and my family, as Sean knows all too well, went to church every Saturday or Sunday. One of the two. It didn't matter where we were in the country. Didn't matter anything. We were finding a church and we were attending church.
And keeping the bulletin for later.
Yes, because then my mother could go find, we're in this. We've been in this area before. I have like 3 bulletins.
Let me go to my files. Okay, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Yes, okay.
Yes. Yeah, they have a 4:30 here we can make.
Oh, they have a 4:15, but it's in Espanol. We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll make it work. So that was our mother. But when we would go to church, you talk about like elevated wishing. This isn't so much elevated. This is legitimately wishing and praying. But I would, after communion, for those of you folks that are not Catholic, after communion you go back and you're supposed to say some prayers. So I would always say the Hail Mary and the Our Father, and then I would, which sounds like ritualistic, like sounds so crazy.
Of church, when I go to church now, Our Father who art in heaven. There's a guy up there in a robe. I'm like, this is sus.
Yeah, it's very sus. But anyway, I was at the end as they say, I wish, I hope, I pray I make the Major League Baseball, in the big leagues. And then on top of that, when I was used to talk to the gentleman that was the sports psychologist for Scott Boras and Boras Corp, a guy by the name of Don Carmen. I think he's fantastic. He is the sports psychologist that will literally punch you in the gut. Like, he is not going to be there saying, "Oh, let's think positively." Wah. He's going to call you out for being a little, female genitalia, and he's going to tell you like it is. But he used to talk about, he's like, people very very much so underestimate the power of daydreaming, and making yourself feel as though you just did that.
Yeah.
And like the excitement around it, whatever it is you're daydreaming about. He's like, people underestimate that and don't understand that they can be putting things into motion just by like really, really daydreaming about what just happened. It's
right.
like, and he explained it as a real dream, like when you're sleeping. He's like, when you wake up, like when you didn't realize you were in a dream, and it felt like when you have the dreams where you're falling, and you wake up in bed, you felt like you were falling for a second there when you were even conscious. He's like, your brain really doesn't know the difference. So if you're constantly really, really diving into these daydreams and things like that, where your brain feels as though you're doing these things, you will become that person that does these things.
Let me ask you this: when you post stuff about baseball, pitching, whatever, through 102 miles an hour, what are people like asking you in the comments?
Like, I mean, I get when I post about anything about baseball, they're asking me how to make the big leagues, how to throw 100 miles an hour, how to do all these types of things.
Exactly. And I think this is the great misdirection of life here, is because think about this: when you were pitching at your best versus pitching at your worst. So like Pawtucket versus Seattle. What was the difference?
The thing I can always talk about is when I would well, this is just very basic, but in Pawtucket I wanted to go into the game. In Seattle I didn't.
Yeah, I mean really and truly, that the only real difference is what's going on up here. It's like what you're thinking about. It's how you feel. Like when you walk out. Like I remember you saying to me one time, it was like, out in Pawtucket, the setup guy comes in before you, and he like gives up, like gets 2 guys on, and you're like, get me in there, I'll bail this dude out, right? Like that versus like you're up there, and it's like, am I closing off my shoulder here? Am I opening it up and up? I think I'm opening up too early. It's like everybody thinks like this. I really believe this is like the great misdirection of life. Is everybody is like trying to say like, how do I get there? Like, how do I pitch? How do I approach recruiting or something like that? But that's never how it is. It's who you must become, not how do I do it. So it's like how do you feel when you go out on the mound? How, like, what is like your mindset? Like, do you feel confident? Do you have these things? Like, and obviously like talent is like the number one thing. Like if you don't have talent, forget it. But like if you meet that prerequisite, like it doesn't even matter what it is, like business, sports, performing arts, like you see, like I was really actually thinking about this yesterday. You know, like Sebastian Maniscalco, and you see his like comedy. He's a hilarious dude. But his comedy is like it's like very like physical comedy. Like he gets down, and remember the bit he does about like when somebody pulls into your driveway to turn around, and you like everybody gets down, and it's like army crawling around. Like I want you to imagine doing that, but not having full confidence in your bit and being like I'm nervous up here, I'm rattled about it. Like that's coming off. You got to be full send to do that, to do any real comedy, but you have to be full send on like going for it on this thing, on this bit, on this like act routine that you're going to do. Otherwise, we're all going to find out. And I think everybody in the world, I think all the entrepreneurs, I think all of the investors, I think all of the athletes out there, they're all looking for the mechanics. Like, what drills do I do? How do I do it? But that doesn't matter. You meet the talent. And it becomes who are you when you stand out there. I've always been so intrigued about pitching because it's like it's one of the few places in the world where you can't hide it. We're going to find out real quick how confident you are, how mentally tough you are. There's just no hiding it. And sports is like one of those things where you can hide it at your 9 to 5. If you're having a bad day, if you're not confident, if you're a little depressed, like you can hide it as an accountant. You cannot hide it standing on a baseball mound. I don't care where you are, right? Like we're going to find out real quick what's going on. And that's what I think. I think everybody's looking for how do I do it when the real answer is who do I become?
Yeah. And something I'd like to add to that. When talking about business and investing, I remember when I bought my third place McSwilbo's, and I took my bank account either close to zero or was at zero. And a lot of people think that I'm a uber wealthy person. I am on a very small scale. Not uber wealthy. People think I'm wealthy, but on a very small scale, I am just like Elon Musk. For like small entrepreneurs, I have a ton of my net worth.
Like I'm basically Michael Jordan, all right?
Yeah. What I'm saying though, the thought process is most of my money is in investments. I don't have a tremendous amount of cash on me. Like that's just not who I have. Well, for most people, I have a lot of money, but like
I'm just talking about what we were hanging out with last night.
Oh, true. But 90, I would say, let me actually, you know what? Real quick, just for the people at home here, I would say I'm probably worth in that ballpark. And I would say, let's say here, around 90%, maybe a little more, give or take, is not liquid money for me. So, like, it's not like I'm just sitting on a ton. But when it comes to being successful, and this is when I remember talking to myself because I was really nervous. Not really nervous, but at McSwilbo's when I did this, and I took my account to zero. At Green Rock, I took my account to zero. Like, and I went in debt at Green Rock. Like, I remember talking to myself one time, like doing it and like kind of working through it. You take out the old legal pad and you go through your finances. You say, well, how am I going to make this? How am I going to connect the dots here until this investment starts bringing me in money? And the funny thing was, one thing I told myself, and I'll never forget it, one thing I told myself when I was doing that, and I was like, geez, why am I doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, the difference between yourself, and you'll go through one of those long walks around Hoboken.
Oh, man.
The difference between
deep thinking on those walks.
Yeah. And with the difference between myself and others that, certainly do, whatever the 9 to 5s or whatever type of job you want to do, is I'm willing to take my bank account to zero, to do something that I think is going to better my life. I can't say you probably can't say that for 99% of the people in the world, is that they're willing now, and even let's exclude people with families because they have an obligation to others to take care of them. Sure. So they probably can't do it. But so let's exclude people with families. But single people who just have to worry about themselves for the time being and pay their own bills. 99% of the people there are unwilling probably to take their accounts to zero. And we actually just talked about yesterday, Sean, about my attorney for this recent deal and how I let him go. Great guy. I'm going to use him for other things, but I fired him for this particular deal. And the reason I got rid of him was because he wasn't what we call a deal maker. Your job as an attorney to me is to lay out the risks of the things that are being proposed to me, and then I decide if I'm going to go through with those risks. That is my job. That is not your job. So I decided I'm doing it. Stop bringing them up all the time. Like we've okay. This is a risk. Are you willing to do it? Yes. Check. We don't talk about this risk anymore. We've checked it. It's a box and it's been checked. So these things this appetite for risk that I have is just not there in most people in the world. You know, a large majority of the people in the world. And so when I see people, and again, we've talked about this a few times, when I see people like, you know, like Gary V and some people that talk about, there was that one comedian that talked about, he goes, my buddy should not be starting a Pokemon card business.
So true. So true.
And it's just you need in this world to gain a tremendous amount of wealth without inheriting it, excluding those people. You need a large appetite for risk, and we talked about in the last podcast how I was trying to educate our boy B-Rye about debt, and how like he's like, well, when do you think you're gonna get out of debt? I go, I think I'm going to die with a tremendous amount of debt. Like I'm just going to add more and more and more and more and more debt, and what your hope is the asset that you bought that debt with will make more money. Considerable more money than what your monthly installment is of debt to the person that you took the debt from.
Right.
And that's how you create wealth. Like you create wealth on debt, as that what's that rich dad poor dad guy, he talks
Robert
about how
Kiyosaki.
debt is, he's like, debt is not taxed. Like you get all this money to go buy something and you didn't have to pay taxes on it. Like it's a really kind of a wild thought process, but again, people just don't do that.
I don't. I mean, all that stuff to me, I would agree. I think you are further than I am on. I don't know. I think you assume like different types of risk. But what's so interesting to me, I remember like learning about like the S&P 500 and like how to invest in the stock market, and so I had the great fortune, like really really lucky, to work like as a trainer to a hedge fund CEO in Manhattan. And him and I would just like talk about it and stuff, and I was like, he would like give me some books to read, and I was like, this is incredible. What a masterclass I'm getting here. And it basically was like this. He's like, you want to get rich? And I was like, yep. And he's like, all you got to do is invest in the stock market, like find the good stocks, find the undervalued ones, like not hard to do. Just keep feeding the IRA inside of Vanguard. Like John, he's like, Bogle was my boy. Like we talked about it all the time. And he was like, there's only one thing that you have to overcome. I was like, what is it? And he's like, when the market's tanking, he's like, you can't be rattled. Like you just have to, can't like take your money out, and you just got to keep investing. You just got to keep doing, just got to keep following. You know it's going to happen. You've seen the trends, the historic. And he's like, do you think you'd be good with that? I was like, yeah, I don't care at all. Like when that money's in there, I forget. I don't even know. I forget about it. And he's like looked at me and I was like, what do you mean? I was like, why do I care? Like I know the deal. And to me, I don't understand that about like how people are like invest in Google and they're rattled when it's down on Thursday. I'm like, yo guys, what, like the only way that would matter is if like you were like massively volatile and you were gonna like try to take it out on Friday. Like what the hell are you? What do you understand this game even a little bit? And that to me, I don't understand. Like when people are like, I see all the time, like the market's down, and it's like I'm thinking, like I know, like the cool thing to say is like I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna invest more now, and like yeah, that's true. But I'm also like I don't care because it's going to come back up. This is America, and we'll be back. Like I'll see you then. And that I don't understand how people have that mindset, and obviously that like leaks into all of these other mindsets that you're talking about. But people just don't want to take risks. They don't want to rock the boat. They just want to enjoy their life and do it the normal way. Like save my money in a savings account. I'll buy my Buick LeSabre. Sorry, Dad. Buy my Buick LeSabre. Go to do the thing, spend vacation. Save up for vacation, and then go. That's how they want to do it.
Well, I think a really good example for the stock market is during the pandemic, Penn National. Now, Penn National, for those of you who don't know, is the parent company now to Barstool Sports. And Penn National had purchased Barstool. And I think they bought like 51%, like controlling stake in it. They're going to finish that purchase in February of this year. But they had purchased this stuff. And no one had even heard of Penn National prior to them buying Barstool Sports. And everyone jumped on the wave of buying Penn National because they were like, well, I mean, they own Barstool. I mean, everyone knows how good Barstool is. And I'm going to bring up here their stock ticker. Oh, hold on. I want the stock. I want. All right. So I remember Penn. Let's actually look at what their like 52-week high was, because it's pretty intriguing to see exactly how. Now the stock market is down over the last however many like year or so, I'd guess. They were as high, it looks like, ballpark as $80 a share. And I remember telling people, everyone, you gotta buy Penn, you gotta buy Penn, you gotta buy Penn. So I was like, okay, yeah, I like Barstool. I think they're a good company. I think they're well run. Blah 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 blah. Let me go look into it. Barstool had pushed this company up from like, let's say, $10 a share to $80. And then you look at the correlation between Barstool and how much money it was bringing in comparative to the business. It was less than 5% of the company's earnings. So I was like, this company they just purchased pushed its stock up 800%, and it only comprised of 5% of its business. I was like, guys, like, I can't get on board with that.
That's just like GameStop Robinhood investing right there.
Yeah, like I understand you think it's a good purchase for Penn, all that stuff, and you could, if you want to try to make an argument to me that they're going to be eventually 50, 60, 70% of this company's earnings, and it's gonna go to the moon, right? As the Barstool people say. We can have that conversation, but like now it's down to $28 a share, and it's like, because none of you looked at the business. Like if you wanted to have an argument like we had last week, Sean, about how they're saying that like it's 80%. I'm just making that statistic up, but like, you remember the statistic of people, like young adults, are searching things on TikTok rather than Google. If you want to make the argument to me right now about, hey, listen, I'm not so sure on Google stock right now, although it's down a little bit, I'm not so sure I'm buying a good value dip here on Google, because I'm not so sure it's going to be the same company in the next 5 years, because TikTok is making a push for search. I don't know if you've noticed this on TikTok, Sean, but all of your videos now, all the videos have the search bar up top of it. And they actually, on other people's videos, they actually tell you what you would search in order to find this video. And it's a very interesting thing. So now Google, although it controls a lot, and I still Google a ton of things, like, well, now this is the first time we're sitting here being like, well, wait a minute. Is Google as protected, have such a big moat, as Dad used to say? You want
somebody crossing the moat.
Yeah, is somebody breaching the gap here, or are they getting in there? And so, okay, all right, now we're having a discussion about the business of Google. But when you come to me and you have Facebook, let's say years ago, I remember telling you this, Facebook had some bad PR for a little bit. It dropped like 15, 20%. The business of Facebook had not changed at that point. They had some bad news where something was
happens
bad
all the time.
But you're telling me the company is worth 20% less than it was 2 weeks ago? Bullshit. I'm going to go buy Facebook because I know that's not true. Right. You came out and told me that their ad sales, like you told me, what company was hurting Facebook ad sales?
Apple.
Apple. Now Sean tells me Apple is really taking a bite out of Facebook's ad sales. Okay, now we're talking about a legitimate concern in how Facebook makes its money. And now their revenue might come down, which makes them a less valuable company.
Facebook's in real trouble, by the way.
Okay, so now that makes sense. That you were talking business here, but when you're just telling me the stocks are plummeting, everything's going down right now because inflation's higher. Now you're saying, okay, well, you were obviously trying to push off inflation and raise interest rates. All that good stuff. Spending might not be as high. Blah 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 blah. But across the board, just being like, I'm selling everything because of that. You're selling good companies in there, and it's companies that haven't, from a very basic stance, has not changed, and they might take a little bit of hit here or there, but they haven't changed, and that is a really good way. Like when you see the stock market plummeting, go in there and go buy Apple if you think Apple's still going to be a great company for the next however many years. Go buy these things because you're getting them at 30, 40% of the value that they were at, and now that $1,000 that you put into Apple might be $2,000 in a year.
Yeah.
And you just double your money in a year. And from an investor standpoint, that doesn't sound like a lot of money to a lot of people, $1,000. But from an investor standpoint, restaurants, I'm trying to make my money back in 3 years. If you make your money back in a year and it's as liquid as the stock market is, that's a huge, huge win for people that they're really not. People just really don't think about. And then on top of that, what I really want to hammer home to people, for investors, is when I make these big purchases in investments, whether it's the stock market, whether it's restaurants, so on and so forth, a lot of people feel as though they just spent their money. That money is still with you. It's just in an investment vehicle. That's all That's all it is. Like, you still have your money. So when you say I just put in $1,000 into Apple, you see $1,000 less in your bank account. You still have $1,000. In fact, tomorrow you might have $1,005. But you still have that money. So what I really always try to have, when I talk to some people, I was like, what I want you to do, instead of looking at your bank account, go into an Excel spreadsheet and put up I have one of these, a net worth Excel spreadsheet. And your checking account, savings account is going to be a part of that, your stocks and all that stuff. And you want to see that number go up. You don't necessarily need your bank account to go up. If you looked at my Wells Fargo checking account, well, I have to pay taxes right now, so it's high. But typically speaking, it's got like $2,000 in it. It's not a ton of money. I don't keep a lot of money in there because it's a useless account. It doesn't do anything for me. But if you looked at my net worth, it'd be going up every year, or for most years. It goes up. So people, and again, I'm not here. I think a lot of people are what they are. I don't think that I can change a lot of people, nor do I want to. I don't really have a ton of interest in educating people, even though I pretty much just did that for the last 5-minute rant. I don't really have a ton of interest in that. You guys do what you want to do, live your life, and I'll do what I want to do and live my life. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money in any way. But if you come and ask me for help, I'm going to tell you. And I just think people often look at things in the wrong way.
Yeah, people are looking for the home run, right? Everybody, it's like in fantasy. The reason the reason that so few trades get executed is everybody just wants the rip-off trade, right? They want the trade that's going to work. That's why everybody's doing crypto, because they think they can get rich by next week. And Warren Buffett, you always the Oracle of Omaha, truly. I heard somebody saying the other day, they were like, do you think Warren Buffett is like waking up at 4 a.m. to meditate and, whatever? Like, this guy reads all day, he does nothing, and he just makes investments, and he does it. And everybody always asks, like, Warren, like, why do you think nobody follows your advice? And he's like, well, because nobody wants to get rich slowly. And this was actually what we were going to.
Great quote.
Yeah.
Great quote.
And this is what I thought we were going to talk about here when we were out in the kitchen. Is like, to me, it's like everybody is the same person. Like human behavior is the same in every single it's predictable. That's what we were talking about with YouTube Shorts, where it's like the same formula. What plays on TikTok is going to play on YouTube Shorts. It's because people are the same. The mind is the same. We're all predictable, and you can always predict that this is how it's going to be, and a very small percentage of people are going to do it this way. And it's the human race.
It is, and that's what I love about, and why I like talking about business, or why we've transitioned this podcast to a business podcast. But before I get into why I like that, we do have advertisements here. And we do love our friends over at WinBet, so I want to take care of them. Big, actually, event this weekend at McSwiggins. Nick Mangold coming to McSwiggins. Jets, I think he's a Jets Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's an actual NFL Hall of Famer. But Nick Mangold coming to McSwiggins, having a few drinks with the boys. I'll be there, probably trying to take shots with them. You guys know me. But, big event sponsored by WinBet, which I'm very appreciative of. But sorry we're closed. This podcast is brought to you by my friends over at WinBet. WinBet is bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Whether you're a recreational player or a serious handicapper, WinBet is your ticket to every exciting wager, from straight bets to parlays, teasers, and any exotic proposition wager you can dream up. Sign up today and use promo code XSWC1, and after placing your first $100 wager, you will receive $100 to bet with. There is also a $50 casino bonus for those in New Jersey and Michigan as a first-time player. Again, the promo code is XSWC1. There's no better way to enjoy sports than with some extra winnings in your pocket to use for all your favorite bets. Betting is a team sport. Join the WinBet team and bet with the best. Offer subject to change, terms and conditions at WinBet.com. Must be 21 to participate. Only available in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. One of the reasons I like doing these podcasts the way we do them now is because we and you have a very unique ways of looking at how we do things. But from an umbrella viewpoint, we pretty much have the same umbrella, with the exception of certain things I don't always do a great job of. But we pretty much have the same umbrella, and it's when are we the most productive, and how do we replicate that on a daily basis? Mm-hmm. Now, take out the considerations for my weekends, because obviously I'm not the most productive during that time, but like Sean has messed with how he wakes up in the morning since I've known him. Sometimes it's 4:30, next times it's 7, then it's this, we're adding this to the routine, kind of all over the place, but always trying to adjust and get more productive. In a much broader sense, myself, I at one time wanted to do morning workouts, and when I realized I'd wake up at like 6 in the morning, I would go work out like 6:30, 6:45, and what I realized is I was exhausted at like 2 p.m., 1 p.m., and I would have to take a nap all the time. And I hated that. And so this is kind of around similar time where we started waking up with the sun. I still wake up, depending on the time of year, because my window gets sun parts of the year, sometimes it doesn't. So I would wake up at 6:30, some parts of July is like 6:30, August. Then hold on, someone's calling me. And then other parts of the year is 7:30. This time of year, I think it's like 7:45-ish. But I would always do these types of things because I would want to be productive. And the most productive is sleeping in and making sure I feel awake. Yeah. And making sure that is part of my routine. And so it's always not looked at, but the way me and Sean always operate is trying to increase productivity, and how we do that, whether it's working out certain ways, whether it's eating certain ways, whether it's waking up in certain ways. It's always trying to adjust and get better at that particular thing. And from the neurological standpoint, I like talking to you about that because there are actual science behind how people are the most productive and how they feel most productive. And you talk about that a lot. So I always find it interesting to kind of dive deeper into the neuroscience. I mean, recently you added a couple things to your routine, Sean. Why don't you go over that, because I've used it myself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like what I've learned over my entrepreneurial career. It's like there's all this like noise out there, right? The Gary Vee like hustle culture and stuff. Like you got to grind it out, and there's certainly a time and place for that. But for the most part, like people, business, productivity especially, is a physical game. Like the times that people don't like do their best work, the times that people are not productive, or the days they're tired, they're dragging, they're lazy, they don't feel like it, they're nervous, they're doubtful, whatever. And when I started to realize that in my own world, I realized that having a good business, being aggressive with your business, is physical in nature. I became so intertwined with this that my business now is we show people how to like how to be high performers in the business world. And what was so cool about it was that in basketball and baseball, that's what we did, right? In baseball, played 162 games in a season, and you got to have guys fresh, energized, strong, and ready to go every single day. So I had to have like the science and use the technology that would allow the baseball guys to every day, like, here we go, we got to feel good, and we got to be ready to go because they're getting paid a lot of money to do this stuff. And the same thing happened in the NBA. And in business, like, you got to feel good today, tomorrow, next day, day after that, and it just keeps going. So what we started to do was I started to actually act as if I was an NBA basketball player. And we created this like little readiness screen that I used to do for the NBA guys. We measure their HRV, measure their RPE, their rate of perceived exhaustion. And we would measure that in the morning, see where they were at. And then that would really dictate how they would go throughout the day. So for example, today, yesterday was a really hard day for me from a work standpoint. It was like very tedious. Like, I had to build a lot of websites and write emails and like all this like automation for an event that I'm going to run in November. It's tough. Went out to dinner afterwards with my girlfriend. We went up to like Nanuet, New York, and it was like an hour away. We got back late, like exhausted. Woke up today feeling it, right? So my RPE was low, my HRV was low. So today, like, I didn't work out in the morning. I'm gonna do like recovery stuff in the afternoon after my 3 p.m. Interview. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm going to, and then like tomorrow we'll get back into it because I need to like push myself up. I literally thought to myself this morning, I was like, if Julius Randle, when I was with the Lakers, came to me and was like, yo, I'm dragging a little bit today. I'm tired. I'm a little sore. What would I tell him? I would say, like, okay, like, well, let's take the day. Let's not be stupid here. Let's not push you further down into the ground, but let's do some active recovery stuff to speed up the process. So we wake up. So for me, it's like sleep a little bit later, eat really well, do some nutrition. There's some like technology that I use, this thing called binaural beats that helps shift the brain waves into more of a recovery standpoint and out of stress. So we're going to do those things to make sure that I'm recovering and I'm able to perform at a high level every single day. So now instead of like grinding it out in the gym and adding to my stress, I'm going to decrease it. I'm going to do the things the right way. I'm going to go. So like every single day I behave as if I'm an NBA basketball player, but instead of playing basketball, I run a business.
Which I actually just saw, funny enough, this morning I saw a TikTok with Mark Cuban talking about when he bought the Mavericks and stuff like that, and how he was like, I can do this better.
Yeah.
And how he's like talks about different smells in the locker room, all these different things, and it really is. There's so much more out there that people don't realize that can allow them to perform in a better way and to become more productive. It's funny. Sean turned me on to this ambiance from YouTube. And everyone I talk to, I tell people to do it. It's a running joke with my people that give me calls because they're like, they always hear the smooth jazz.
Yeah.
But think about people that go to coffee shops. People are always going to coffee shops to do work, and there's got to be something to that. And we've talked about that. But I do the fall coffee shop ambiance. And like right now, I have a nice scene up there. When I look up there and I'm thinking about something, it's jazz. As you know, I can't work to music with words in it because it distracts me.
Same.
So but I can look at this and I can look over here and be like, okay, and I'm thinking about something that's going on and working through that problem, but doing it in a way that makes sense. When you're hungover. You're infamous for like beating the shit out of your hangover, whereas most people just absolutely cannot get out of bed.
No,
not happening. So what I've recently done, and I've done very well for the last couple of weeks. I made a thing where I want to drink to a point, have a good time, enjoy myself. That's not going away anytime soon, but drink to a certain point where I'm able to go for a long walk the next day. And be able to do that recovery walk and go do that. And oftentimes, Sean, it's funny, I'll do the recovery walk, I'll come back, have a little something to eat, and I'll want to take a nap. And I'll go take that nap, and I'll wake up feeling great. Mm-hmm. And boom, kind of beat the shit out of the hangover. But when you sit there and lay there all day, eat pizza, and and sometimes it's nice to sit there, eat pizza, and watch a football game and being hungover, but you do those things, and the next day, still kind of lethargic. Still kind of feel like shit. And now you've lost 2 days now. And there are just scientific ways to go about these things. And again, this is why I like speaking with you, because there's ways to do these things that are not, taking a vitamin pill. Like, okay, what are we doing here? If there was a pill that beat hangovers, it'd be the best product in the world, and everyone would fucking use it.
Can't get rich fast. You got to go.
No, you can't. It's not. There's no easy way. There's a way to do it, and it's funny. You see a lot of these TikTokers who actually are, quite successful in how they do things, and a lot of them say, "Okay, I'm going to give you these ways to have quick side hustles that might make you 50 to 100K, but you're not going to do them because it's going to take too much work for you. But eventually, it will be fully automated. You won't have to do anything; it will do it itself. But you're not going to do the work in the beginning to get there, so you will never do it. And so here it is, but you're not going to do it, and it's true because people want that get quick rich scheme, which is why people fall for those pyramid schemes. Like one of the best office parts of he's talking about a pyramid, and then Michaels goes, "I have to leave.
I have to make a phone call."
You have to make a phone call. It's hilarious because that's what people want,
yeah.
And I get it because I want it too. It's not realistic, but I want it too. Of course, everyone wants it too. I actually just saw something recently on Bill Gates. Someone talked about how Bill Gates didn't even fucking create Microsoft.
Yeah,
he went
the
and bought
TikTok algorithm.
Okay, he went and bought those patents.
Yeah.
He didn't even make the thing.
He didn't create it at all.
Which is such an intriguing thing. Like a lot of people think I make Green Rock or I make McSwiggins or Saku or the two new places. Like I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I just bought the successful business. That's all I did. I let someone else create it. You go do it. I'm going to offer you money. You're going to think it's a lot of money, which it is, but I'm going to make 10x that money over the next 15 years, and it's way better for me. Like, I'd prefer to do it that way. But again, that even speaks to a little bit of the get-rich-quick stuff. I'll give you a big $1 million check right now, $2 million check. You get it right now. I'm going to make $20 million on this purchase.
Right.
But you'd rather the $2 million right now than the $20 million over 10 years. Mind-blowing thought process.
Yeah,
Unless you're retiring and you want to move on with your life and you're done, like that's fine, sail off in the sunset. But mind-blowing thought process. You'd rather have the $2 million right now than the $20 million over 20 years or 10 years.
It all comes down. It is. I mean, truly, everything comes down to the brain. You get that. You want that dopamine fix right now. You don't like the delayed gratification. The sooner people find out, and this is as true of a law of the universe as there is. The quality of your life is the quality of the emotions you feel every day. Everything comes down to how you feel. We work out not to be rich. It's to feel good about ourselves. You put the coffee shop ambiance on because it makes you feel a certain way. I put certain lotion on because it smells a certain way. It reminds me of fancy hotels and it reminds me of how I want to feel. I organize my room. When your room and your office is clean, it makes you feel a certain way and it allows you to attack things at a different level. The quality of your life is the quality of the emotions that you have every single day, and the more that you can start changing those, that's when life becomes different. It is always, always, always emotional, and if it's emotional, that means it's physical and you can change it. You can do something about it, and that is what I do for a living.
Fantastic. No free ads here. Sean pays for that advertisement on our podcast. But yeah, it's very true. And what I want to do is next week, as we wrap this up here, I'm gonna give one more ad at the end of this. But next week, what I want to talk about is snowballing this into just exactly how people talk about how your net worth is your network. Snowballing this type of feeling. And also a really good quote, Misery Loves Company. This type of feeling and how a network actually does make you a lot of money and how you actually do these things by networks. Not just be like, oh, my dad's a CEO, I'll go get a good job there. That's not what network is your net worth type thing. That's not what people are mentioning when they talk about that. But we'll talk about that next week. One last advertisement for our good friends at WynnBET. WynnBET is bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting and casino play. Getting all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today and use promo code XSWC1, and after placing your first $100 wager, you'll receive $100 to bet with. There is also a $50 casino bonus in those in New Jersey and Michigan as a first-time player. Again, the promo code is XSWC1. Offer subject to change, terms and conditions at WynnBET.com. Must be 21 to participate. Only available in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. Sean, putting any money on the Bronx Bombers tonight against the Houston Astros? Put any money on?
Most certainly not. I think the Astros are significantly better. I thought the Yankees. I thought yesterday was the game for the Yankees to win and actually make a dent. I didn't realize Verlander was pitching, and I also didn't realize he was pitching that well. No, I think the Astros are going to win that series.
Okay. All right. So there you have it, folks. Our WinBet partners will not be happy Sean's not taking the underdog, but yeah, Bronx Bombers going to certainly a tough road ahead, and it seemed like they have a great series out in San Diego with the Phillies and them. So I do think the Yankees Astros is a little bit more of a lopsided one, and we'll see who guys. By the way, when we were a sports podcast. I predicted a Yankees Mets World Series. You predicted Yankees Dodgers. Both of our National League people are out. We'll see Dodgers Phillies or Padres Phillies. My apologies. Padres Phillies. Who ends up going to the World Series from that group? And then obviously I think everyone kind of thought Houston and the Yankees were kind of be in this discussion. So nothing surprising on the American League. But with that being said, guys, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy. Anything you might do this weekend, and subscribe to the old YouTube channel, and do that because I want you to. So go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel and take a listen over there if you want to watch any of the episodes rather than listen to them like our mother does. But until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Sorry, we're closed.